Good morning, good evening everyone. Welcome to live streaming po ng ating tax training. And our topic for tonight is about BIR registration requirements, no? Tax types and open cases. No? Parang walang katapusan kasi itong case, open cases kasi ang dami pa ring concerns, no? And then we will have question and answer, and then shout out muna tayo, Hari, no? I would like to say thank you pala sa mga subscribers natin. Kunting-kunti na lang, abot na tayo ng 25,000 subscribers. So, thank you very much.
Wala pang nag-shoutout, ma'am. Pero may 7 viewers na po, ma'am.
Okay. Sige. So, good evening po ulit, no? And itong ating topic about BIR registration requirements, no? Kasi kapag pa-register ka na, ang next na important thing that you are going to consider yung mga tax types mo because start ka na magpa-file, no? And the effect of non-filing are open cases. Magkakarugtong yan, no? So when we say BIR registration requirements, we have primary registration. Under the primary registration, we have the application for TIN or tax identification number. Because depending on the TIN or the tax identification number that you are going to apply, it goes with it the classification and the kind of tax that you're going to pay. And then the next primary registration is the application for registration update. No? Once na you are registered, example, you obtain or you apply for registration for tax identification number using BIR Form 1904. The BIR Form 1904 has no tax type. Why? Because it is required under Executive Order 98, which requires all persons having transactions with the government to obtain tax identification number. So, since your TIN under Executive Order 98 using BIR Form 1904 has no tax identification number, has no tax type, once you apply as an employee, you still have to use the same TIN, but this time the BIR will update your TIN as an employee. And the employee has a tax type of income tax, but of course this income tax has no frequency of filing because it is made through withholding tax system, which is the tax due for the employer are withheld by the employer, and it is the employer who remitted the amount of tax that should be paid by the employee to the government. No? So it is the employer who remitted the tax on compensation of the employee to the government. Okay, so that is an example for registration updates using BIR Form 1905. Under BIR Form 1905, there are so many kind of updates. There can be updates on address, updates on tax types. So there are so many. And then when you register under the primary registration, mandatory also that there is a secondary registration to follow. And what are the requirements for the secondary registration? There will be registration of books of accounts. If you are a non-VAT taxpayer, you register your books of accounts for types of books. No? There should be cash receipt, cash disbursement book, journal, and ledger. If you are a VAT taxpayer, there are 6 books of accounts. No? What are those books of accounts for VAT taxpayers? We have the cash receipts, cash disbursement, journal, ledger, subsidiary purchase book, and subsidiary sales book. Why? Why 6? Because the subsidiary sales book and subsidiary purchase book is mandatory for taxpayers because that will be their basis for the computation or source document for their filing of monthly and quarterly VAT. Why? Because the monthly and quarterly VAT requires computation of the input and output tax. And of course, this subsidiary sales book will provide you the computation for output tax, and the subsidiary purchase book will provide the taxpayer with the basis on the computation of input tax. So that at the end of the month, when you file your monthly value-added tax, and at the end of the quarter, when you file your quarterly value-added tax, then it is not hard or difficult for the taxpayer because there is a basis, no? Your records in the books of accounts. Another kind of secondary registration is the application for authority to print receipts and invoices. Why authority to print receipts and invoices? Because when you start your business operation, you are required to issue receipts. And there are two kinds of receipts: the official receipts for sale of services and sales invoice for sale of goods. And you cannot print those receipts without the authority coming from the BIR, because the printing of receipts are regulated, and also the issuance of receipts are regulated. Also, the receipts itself are regulated, that the receipts is valid only for 5 years. So once you print receipts, you can use those receipts within a period of 5 years. After 5 years and you did not use all the receipts, you are going to return it to BIR and apply for a new authority to print and print a new receipts, because the receipts that has been expired or more than 5 years are already invalid. Another is the application for authority to use computerized accounting system and components thereof and the loose leaf. Actually now, the authority to use computerized system are no longer. You have to do is to submit an affidavit to the BIR when you have your computerized accounting system. The owner of that computerized accounting system will make an affidavit, submit it to the BIR, and in that affidavit containing statement that the computerized accounting system of the taxpayers are compliant with the requirements of the BIR. No? Also, application for authority to use loose leaf books of accounts. Loose accounts are also allowed to be used by the taxpayers, provided that before you use your loose leaf books of accounts, you ask first for approval. No? And once approved, then you can use the loose leaf books of accounts. So there are three kinds of books of accounts that the taxpayer can use. First is the manual books of accounts. When you use the manual books of accounts, you are going to buy the traditional books of accounts and then have it received by the BIR. No? So before you use the manual books of accounts, have it approved or stamped by the BIR. No? Stamp approved by the BIR. The next kind of books that the taxpayer can use is the loose leaf books of accounts. So what is this loose leaf books of accounts? You can print it in your computer, you can print it in your typewriter, you can print it in any mode you can, and then bookbind it later on. And at the end of the year, you submit to the BIR the loose leaf receipts that you have issued and the loose leaf books of accounts that you have used. Have it bookbinded with the first page with affidavit of how many pages and what kind of books that you are using. And then within 15 days at the end of the calendar year or fiscal year or your taxable year, you are going to bring it to the BIR and have it stamped by the BIR. So what is the difference between the manual books of accounts and the loose leaf books of accounts? The manual books of accounts, you can use it, but stamp first before using. For the loose leaf books of accounts, you can use it ask for or approval first, and then have it stamped after using, no? So the stamping of the manual books of accounts is before it is being used, while the stamping of the loose leaf books of accounts is after it is used, no? And then book binded and then have it stamped by the BIR. The next secondary registration is the application for permit to use cash register machine and or point or sales machines, no? So in lieu of the manually issued the receipts, you can use cash register machine and point of sale machines to issue receipts, no? But of course, this cash register machine and point of sales machines, you are going to apply for a permit to use, no? And only those accredited supplier of this cash register machine and point of sale machines are allowed by the BIR. No? So once you are now registered, okay, you have now your certificate of registration, you have now your books of accounts, you have your receipts, then you can do your business. No? So the ideal or the requirements of the BIR is before you start your business, you must have registered it and complied with the primary and secondary registration. Hari, wala tayong sample ng COR. No? Please give me sample of the COR because I will explain to you the tax types, no? Because the tax types are very important for the taxpayer to comply with in order not to have any open cases. No? The form or the series of the forms that the taxpayer can use for registration is 1900. No? So when you start with 1901, it deals with application 14 of mixed income individual, no? For self-employed, single proprietorship, mixed income individual, non-resident alien, engaged in trade or business, estate, and trust. I'm explaining, I'm talking about 1901 na, Hari. May shout out? O, sige, shout out muna.
Shoutout po kay Ma'am Christina Makaraan.
Okay.
Sabi niya po, ma'am, good evening po. Madami po ako natutunan sa inyong mga video.
Thank you po.
And then, shoutout din po kay Ma'am LV Galanito. Good evening daw po, ma'am.
Good evening po.
Sila pa lang po, ma'am.
Okay. May question?
Wala pa po.
Okay. Sige, so let's continue with the discussions natin about the registration requirements, no? So we have our example of the certificate of registration. So once you register your business, you have your certificate of registration, and this is very important. Do not lose this, no? So once you have received this, have it Xerox copy, and then the original you put it in a frame and then display it in your place of business or establishment. That is the requirements in a conspicuous place, the one that that can be seen by anybody when they go to your place of business. Okay, so for the certificate of registration, you have here the TIN and branch code. Why branch code? Because the first 9 digits of the TIN are the number, and then the last are for the branch code, no? So that when the ending of the TIN is 001, meaning it is first branch, 002 second branch, and so on, no? Okay. For the name of the taxpayers, it can be individual or corporation or what we call this as artificial person, no? Can be joint venture, can be partnership or associations, no? 10 issuance date, no? For the 10 issuance date, it cannot be your sometimes your date of business. Why? Especially if the issuance of your TIN started with you as an employee, no? It was issued very long time ago before you have your business. So 10 issuance date started with the issuance of your tax identification number. And then you have your registered address, no? And the tax types. So, no, very important yung tax types. What are the tax types that can be found in your certificate of registration? So, dito, no? Yeah. Here are the tax types na you are going to comply with for BIR purposes. So, the example of tax types are, if you are a corporation, you have corporate income tax. The annual filing is to yung 15th day of the 4th month. So, kung your taxable year ending is December 31, then your deadline is April 14. And then you also have an corporate income tax quarterly, no? Quarterly. So, the filing frequency is quarterly or every 3 months. And then you have the value-added tax monthly, no? The filing of VAT is monthly and quarterly. For the first 2 months of the quarter, January, February, you're going to file a monthly VAT. And on the 3rd month, you are going to file a quarterly VAT. In the quarterly VAT, you have to total or put there the aggregate of the 3 months starting January to March, no, inclusive. So when you compute for the total sales, it should be 3 months, and then the total deductions, operating expenses would be for 3 months. For incomes, it would be for 3 months, and for the income tax due, it would be for 3 months, but you can deduct the first 2 months, the first 2 months that you have already paid, no? Yun yung sa monthly VAT, no? Kasi ang quarterly corporate tax has no monthly, no, only quarterly. And then we have withholding tax expanded. For the withholding tax expanded, the frequency of filing is also monthly and quarterly, same with the value-added tax, no? What is this expanded withholding tax for? This expanded withholding tax should be the tax types for the withholding on creditable withholding tax at source. And what are the examples of this creditable withholding tax at source? Like rental. So if you are renting your place, you are going to withhold 5%. If you are paying or having a professional or consultants in your company, then you are going to withhold also 5% if the income is not more than 3 million or 3 million and below, and 10% if the income is over 3 million. That is for professional. No? So in short, some of the expenses that you claim under the operating expenses, you are going to withhold it under the expanded withholding tax. No? You observe the rate, no? Because there are, in expanded withholding taxes, there are several rates of withholding. And then we have the withholding tax on compensation. No? This withholding tax compensation is the withholding of taxes of your employees. No? So the frequency of filing of withholding tax on compensation is monthly. And we also have this annual information return for expanded withholding tax and also for withholding tax on compensation, which is 1604C for compensation and 1604E for expanded. Okay. So another kind of tax type is the registration fee, which is 500 pesos that you are going to pay on or before January 31st of each year. No? So for the year 2021, you must have paid your registration fee last January of 2021. And then we have the taxpayer types, domestic corporation. We have the business information, the trade name, the trade name. So what is this trade name? The trade name is regulated by the DTI or the Domestic Trade and Industry. Okay. And then we have the category, no? So it states here primary, and then the registration date. No? And then what is the line of business? It is also shown here. No? And then there are reminders, no, on the deadline of this tax types, no, that I mentioned a while ago. Okay, so that is for the BIR Form 2303. So keep this and do not have it lost. Once lost, you are going to pay 1,000 pesos and request for a new certificate of registration. Okay. May question?
Shoutout
Sige, shout out muna.
Shoutout po kay Sir Butch Formoso.
Okay.
Good evening daw po, ma'am.
Okay.
Pati po kay Ma'am Rosalina Tune. Maayong gabi daw po.
May gabi Okay. Sige. Sige. We will discuss the tax types, no, and the open cases. So for the BIR registration requirements, as I told you, we have the application for registration, BIR Form 1901. No? So for the BIR Form 1901, Hari has a video on how to fill up the registration. No? What kind of video is that, Hari? Online, no? Online registration. And e-reads, no? And I also have a video about how to answer the questionnaires, no? So because the questionnaire consisting of how many pages, when you apply for an online registration, you have to answer all those questionnaires because based on the questionnaire, the BIM will determine what are the tax types that will be given to you. No? So for the tax type, the example are single proprietor taxpayer type, no? On using 1901 is a single proprietorship only, resident citizen. Can also be resident alien, single proprietor. Resident alien, professional. Professional license with PRC ID. And then professional in general. Okay, so professional and single proprietor, mixed income earner, compensation income earner, and single proprietor. And then another taxpayer type, mixed income earner, compensation income earner, and professional. Okay. Another mixed income earner, compensation income earner, single proprietorship, and professional. And another non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, state Filipino citizen, state foreign national, trust Filipino citizen, and trust foreign national. Okay. So those taxpayer type should use 1901 in the application for registration. Okay. So you have to fill up application for registration 1901. In the part 5, there are tax types requirements there. Also be sure that all the tax type that will be given to you in your BIR form certificate of registration, COR, no, certificate of registration, be sure that all the tax types that had been given to you are mandatorily required by you to pay, no? Okay. So there are documentary requirements that should be attached to the BIR Form 1901, no? So any identification issued by authorized government body, okay, that shows the name, address, and birth date of applicant. Oh. So yun ang documentary requirements. And then we have the photocopy of mayor's permit or duly received application for mayor's permit if the former is still in process with the LGU and or professional tax receipt, occupational tax receipt issued by the LGU or the local government units. Although also proof of payment of registration fee, which is the 500, and also payable every January of the year. BIR for number 1906, no? Select an accredited printer. So yun ang mga attachment on the 1901 because you are mandatorily required to look for an accredited printer and have receipt, no? Additional documents, special power of attorney, and ID of authorized person in case of authorized representative who will transact with the bureau. And then another is photocopy of the trust agreement, that is for trust. No? Photocopy of the death certificate of the deceased. No? So for estate under judicial settlement. Certificate of authority. If Barangay Micro Business Enterprises registered entity, no? May certificate of authority. And then proof of registration to operate. Okay. So in case of registration of branches or facility, photocopy of mayor's business permit or duly received application for mayor's business permit if the foreigner is still in process with the LGU, no? LGU, local government units. Ito yung mga barangay, city, municipality. And the professional tax receipt, yung PTR, yung galing sa PRC, no? Permit to operate BOI, BOIR, PESA, BCDA, and SBMA. Okay. So in case of registration of branches or facility, photocopy of mayor's permit, special power of attorney, SPA, and ID of authorized person. And then we have proof of payment of registration fee. And then BIR form number 1906, no, for the accredited printer. And there should be a final and clear sample of principal receipts or invoices. No? So possession of more than one taxpayer identification number is criminally punishable pursuant to the provisions of the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 as amended. So, bawal po talaga ang possession ng more than one PIN. Kasi dapat isa lang. May question na?
Shoutout na.
Oh, sige. Shout out ulit.
Shoutout po kay Ma'am Amalia Nocom.
Okay.
Kay Sir Eugene Cruz. Good
Okay.
evening daw. Kay Pepper Zamora.
Okay.
Kay Edna Linho.
Okay.
Kay Ma'am SP Salong.
Good
And kay
evening.
Ma'am Rosemary Neira. Magandang gabi daw po, ma'am. Salamat.
Okay. So, good evening, especially sa ating mga new viewers, no? Well, we're talking about BIR registration requirements, tax types, and open cases because no matter how many times you discuss on this, mayroon pa rin mape-penalize, no? Okay. So, very important. And kanina lang, I have queries also that I answered in the YouTube channel natin, no? And very, very important po, ito yung tax types natin. So once we are registered, we are duty bound to follow or to file what are written in this certificate of registration. No? For VAT purposes and withholding for those that have to be filed monthly, whether you have withholding, you have withheld an amount or not, on whether you have a sales, your monthly returns should always be filed. Why? Because the moment that these returns here are required to be filed monthly or quarterly or annually, you fail to file them on time or deliberately you don't want to file. So what happened to these tax types here? Because you did not file your monthly or your quarterly. So the tax types here will generate an open cases. So what is an open cases? It is the tax types that you fail to file a return, or the open cases is your non-filing of returns. So once you have this already here in your certificate of registration, all the taxes that are going to be filed here should be filed properly. Otherwise, you will be penalized for non-filing that resulted to open cases. So what are open cases? These are tax types that you failed to pay monthly or quarterly depending on the frequency of filing. Okay? So wala pang question?
Shoutout daw po ulit ng si Sir Butch Formoso.
Nandyan na siya. Okay, Sir Boots. See you on September 11. Okay. Shout out. Shout out mo. Hari.
Shoutout po sa inyo, Sir Butch Formoso. Good evening po sa inyo.
Okay. Sige. Good evening po. Thank you for watching. Ha? Okay. So, very, very important your open cases. And as a way of reminder, once you have now your open cases, because you failed to file your monthly and quarterly and even annual obligations, then the BIR will create an open cases. This open cases has to be complied with. And because you failed to file, so what are you going to pay to do? You are going to file late. And when you file late, it has to be paid with penalty for late filing. That's why even if you don't have any sales during the month, you are not yet operating, your obligation to file your returns is mandatory. No? So do not forget or do not say that I have no sales for this month, so I don't have to file for value-added tax. You are mandatorily required here, no, for the filing frequency, whether it is monthly, quarterly, or annually, you are going to file all those things even if you don't have any operation, because once you fail to file your return on time, the BIR will create an open cases and penalize you for that. No? So once you have the open cases now and you need clearance in the BIR, the BIR will not give you any clearance without paying first your open cases. And how to close these open cases? The open cases can be closed only through payment. And how are you going to make this, the open cases? You are going to fill up now forms, no? Whatever is the open cases that you determine in your tax types. So if you have an open case on VAT monthly, what are you going to do? You have to fill up the monthly VAT returns. If you have quarterly value-added tax that you failed to file, then you are going to fill up also the quarterly value-added tax, and of course, you are required to pay late filing or fee for late filing. No? Kasi nung magde-determine yan, only the BIR can determine those. No? Okay. Another application for registration of the TIN or tax identification number is the BIR Form 1902. Pinakita mo sa kanila, Ari. So, BIR Form 1902 is for individuals earning purely compensation income. So, if you are an employee, your application for registration is BIR Form 1902 because this is an application for registration for individuals earning purely compensation income. No? So, sa kanila itong 1902. No? Who are going to fill this up? The employer. But sometimes the employer pass it on to the employee. No? They hire only the employee who have a complete documents. No? So for this application for registration, you fill up all the white boxes, no? And then this 1902 should be signed also by the employer. Okay. So employer, authorized representative, title, and position. And it should be, this form should be filed mandatorily by the employee. Okay. So what are the documentary requirements? For the local employee, any identification issued by an authorized government body can be birth certificate, passport, driver's license, and others that shown the name, address, and birthday of the applicant. Okay. So yun ang 1902. Another attachment is the marriage contract if applicable. For alien employee, passport, working permit, or photocopy of duly received application for alien employment, no, by the Department of Labor and Employment. Okay. So this Form 1902 is signed under the penalty of perjury, and when we say penalty of perjury, that is a crime, no? That is perjury is a crime under the revised penal code. No? And there are penalties for, like here, the employer authorized representative. No? Okay. Next is the application for registration. And of course, this application for registration, BIR Form 1903 is for corporations, partnership. No? Partnership can be taxable or non-taxable, including GAI, no? General government agencies and instrumentalities, and then cooperatives and association. Who's that?
Sorry, why pinto sa
Okay. So this BIR Form 1903 is the application for registration to be used by the corporation partnership, no? Yung non-individual. Ano? Okay. So taxpayer type can be a corporation. So who will use this BIR Form 1903 as application for registration? So the taxpayers that will use this can be corporation, general professional partnership, general partnership, limited partnership, national government agency, local government unit, government-owned and controlled corporation, non-stock, non-profit corporation, no? Regional operating headquarter, regional or area headquarter, joint venture, cooperative, resident foreign corporation, non-resident foreign partnership, non-resident foreign corporation, foreign embassy, and international organization. So they are going to use this 1903 for registration, no? Okay. So you have to fill up the required information in white box, no? And then for the tax types, no, depending on the kind of corporations, if non-stock, non-profit, or exempt corporations, then they have no tax type, no. Sometimes the tax types are for withholding tax only, no, because withholding is a kind of income tax, no. Withholding tax system is only a mode of collecting taxes. Okay. So, what are the attachments for this BIR Form 1903? No? So, for the BIR Form 1903, there should be a photocopy of the SEC or Securities and Exchange Commission Certificate of Incorporation. No? Or photocopy of certificate of recording, no, in case of partnership, or photocopy of license to do business in the Philippines in case of foreign corporation. Okay. Another documentary requirements for corporations, this articles of incorporation or articles of partnership. No. Then we have photocopy of mayor's or business permit. Duly received application for mayor's business permit are also acceptable. Proof of payment of registration fee is 500. BIR form number 1906 or the application for authority to print receipts, no? And then the final and clear sample of principal receipts or invoices. So it's also, upon registration, it is also mandatory that you make already the sample of your receipts. And what are the vital information containing in your receipts? Of course, you have your company logo, no? And also your business name. Okay. So, final and clear sample of principal receipts or invoices. Additional documents if applicable. The board resolution indicating the name of the authorized representative and secondary certificate in case of authorized representative who will transact with the bureau. So, may board resolution pa. Franchise documents, no? Certificate of public convenience for common carrier. Okay. And then we have the memorandum of agreement for joint venture. And then we have the franchise agreement, no, kung may franchise. Certificate of authority if barangay micro business enterprises registered entity. And then proof of registration permit to operate, BOI, BOIA, RMM, PESA, BCDA, and SBMA. Okay. So for cooperatives, photocopy of Cooperative Development Authority, Certificate of Registration, and Articles of Cooperation. For Homeowners Association, photocopy certificate of registration issued by Housing and Land Use Regulatory Board and Articles of Incorporation. So yun po yung mga requirements, no? And then we have the for labor organization, association, group of union workers, photocopy of certificate of registration issued by Department of Labor and Employment, and constitution and bylaws of the application union, no? Kung about labor yan. For foreign embassy, endorsement from Department of Foreign Affairs. For international organization, host agreement or any international agreement duly certified by DFA. Another is the registration of branches or tax type. Okay, so it is required that you present photocopy of mayor's business permit or duly received application for mayor's business permit if the former is still in the process with the LGU. Okay? And or board resolution secretary certificate stating if the branch establishment. No? This is for branch. Board resolution and secretary certificate in case of authorized representative who will transact with the Bureau if applicable. Proof of payment of annual registration fee not applicable to those exempt from the imposition of APF. And also the final and clear sample of principal receipts or invoices. Why? Kasi in this 1903, this applicant using this are also required to issue receipts, no? Even if some of them are non-stock, non-profit corporations. Okay? Okay. So let's answer questions na po. Okay.
First question, ma'am. Paano po kaya, galing kay Ma'am Jonalyn Bon lang,
Okay.
paano daw po kaya nagkamali ng month instead July yung na-file niya? Hindi daw niya na-change sa 1601C.
So instead na July,
Baka August.
automatic yon, gagawin nyo ng kung na-file niya ng August, anong nilagay niya sa month?
Mali daw, wala siyang sinabi mo basta ang sabi niya lang po, mali yung nailagay niya instead na July.
So, i-credit yun sa ibang month, no? So, kung ibang month yun, not July, you really have to amend it and file for July, no? Kasi ang amendment dito, the purpose of the amendment is to correct, no, what has been incorrectly filed. So, since mali yung pinail mo, mag-file ka uli. No? You just attach the one that you have filed previously, you just attach to your amended return, no? And then correct na yung month mo. Because the system will just pick up what has been placed in your return, no? So if it is wrong, then mali din yung mapopost ng system. And then the one which you have not filed, you will incur open cases, no? They will be considered as open case. So you have to file the right return in order that the right taxable period will be credited and no open cases will be given to you. Okay. Next.
Next po, galing kay Ma'am Amalia Nocom.
Okay.
Ma'am, I have a sari-sari store and interested to include smart money padala. How much will it cost to register in BIR?
The registration fee for BIR purposes is only 500. Same lang po yan in any or whatever kind of business you have. So you are going to pay for the BIR 500 pesos for registration fee. But of course, since money padala yan, there is a secondary license dyan. May ano pa yan, may central bank, no? So it should be presented also to the BIR when you register it as your branch. Oh, yun ang mahal. And then, once you are registered already, you consolidate your income and your sales to the returns that you are going to file, especially on the income tax, which is annually. You consolidate the income of that money padala with your other income. No? Kaya consolidated na yan or aggregated. Okay? Next. As to the tax, depende po yan sa halimbawa sa income na you will be claiming your deduction. So depende na yan on the computation, actual computation that you have. No? Okay. Next.
Po, ma'am. Galing kay Pepper Zamora. Paano po palitan yung tax type sa COR?
Para mapalitan yung tax type sa COR, you are going to go to the BIR, bring your original COR, and then you fill up your BIR form 1905. No? Pakita mo, Hari, yung BIR form 1905. The BIR form 1905 is the application for registration information update, correction, and cancellation. So that this 1905 form has many purposes, no? Ano yung mga purpose niya? Update, correction, and cancellation. So in your case, ang sabi niya palitan.
Apo, papalitan daw.
Kung papalitan, so change. No? So you are going to fill up your form number 1905 together with your original, the COR. Then you go to the BIR and have it changed, no? Using this form. Kasi kung change yan, under letter D, we have change or add registered activity or line of business, no? So, kung change ng registered address yan, pwede rin. Change in accounting period, pwede rin. No? So, you just fill up properly the boxes required and the information na mandatory. No? Dito, meron dito sa letter F, change, add, incentive details or registration. Okay. Can be investment promotion agency, can be legal basis, incentives granted, registration accreditation number. No? Okay. Okay, so that is for BIR Form 1905. Next.
May babayaran ako
Pag
nagpa-change ng tax type.
Pag nagpa-change ng tax type, wala pong babayaran. No? That is free. Okay.
Next po, ma'am. Galing kay The Place.
Kay?
The Place.
The place, okay.
What is the penalty if one fails to renew ATP? What is the consequence and what to do?
If you are but registered taxpayer and then you fail to update your ATP. So, meaning you are still using the old invalid receipts. Now, for the old invalid receipts that you use, the penalty there is per issuance of receipt. No? But if you did not use the receipt because it just expired, no? So what are you going to do now? Is you have to go to the BIR and bring all the unused receipts and then apply for a new authority to print receipts, no? And surrender mo sa BIR yung receipts that has expired because the BIR will destroy it so that nobody can use it.
Ano daw siya, ma'am? Non-VAT with income from profession.
Ah, so, pwede. Pwede. No? Okay.
Next po.
Mm,
Galing kay Ma'am Rosalina Tune.
okay.
May waiting period po ba ang BIR for the client to comply based on the LOA?
The examiner is given only 180 days to complete, no? So, yun lang. Kaya the examiner should finish the investigation of the case at least 3 to 4 months so that the examiners still have the 1 and 2 months, no? Kasi 5th and 6th months to prepare for a report. Kasi matagal din po yung preparation ng report. No? So, finish the audit within 3 months and then prepare the reports and then have it approved by the chief, no? Kaya may mga proseso din, especially sa tax audit, no? Because the examiner is given only a very limited time. So, since that the time is very limited, it is cascaded also to the taxpayer. Okay. Next. Wala na. Okay, since wala na rin tanong, no? And then the reminder that I just want to you is the open cases. No, once you have the open cases because you failed to file your return on time, please do not compromise your open cases. No? Why? Because open cases cannot be compromised. When we say compromise, you have an open cases and then the penalty is 100,000. The BIR will told you, oh, okay, you pay me 50,000. That is not true, no? That is a scam. Why? Because the open case can only be closed if you pay, no? If some of the open cases is not paid, then it will still remain as open case, no? And later on, when you go back and ask for your tax clearance, you will be required to pay again, no? So be very careful on the open cases. Okay? Wala na? Okay, so since wala na tayong questions and then also this, pero gusto ko lang tapusin yung sa BIR Form 1905, no? Isa-isahin natin tong purpose of the BIR Form 1905 and also the documentary requirements, no? In case what is the purpose of your updates, no? So, for the documentary requirements of the replacement or cancellation of your certificate of registration, then you are going to present the original copy of the old certificate of registration for replacement. So, yung old hindi yung Xerox lang, original. Original copy of old certificate of registration. Okay. Next is Affidavit of Loss if lost, kung nawala. So, kailangan na Affidavit of Loss. Proof of payment of certifications fees and documentary stamp tax to be submitted before the issuance of the new certificate. Okay. So, kailangan yung registration fee, yung 500, no? Huwag natin yung kinakalimutan. Every January po yan. And then authority to print ATP or receipts and invoices. Original authority to print primary and secondary receipts. New application form, BIR form number 1906. And then we have the Affidavit of Loss, no? Kung nawala. Okay. Tax clearance certificate of tax liabilities. No, the requirements are affidavit of loss, Proof of payment for certification fee and documentary stamps. Ito, tax clearance 1 if for replacement. Kung magpapareplace ka lang, din kailangan yung original mo na tax clearance. No? For that TIN card, you lost your TIN card. So what are you going to do? Affidavit of loss, if lost. Old TIN card, if replacement is due to damage. Marriage certificate for change of family name. And then the certificate for change of corporation name. So it is important that once you update, you have documents to support it. No? So what we are talking here now are the documentary requirements for the updates. No? Kung ano yung in-update nila. So if it is for the affidavit of loss of TIN card, then you have to make the affidavit of loss and then present the old TIN card. No? And then we have the correction, change, update of registration or information. So letter A, change in registered name or trade name. No? So this is very crucial because trade name are also regulated now. No? So amended is a registration DTI certificate, letter request for temporary use of receipts or invoices, no? Applicable. And then change in registered address from old RDO. Okay. So you are going to submit inventory list of unused principal and supplementary receipts invoices for distraction. No? And then from new RDO, photocopy of amended articles of incorporation, partnership, bearing the taxpayer's new principal business address and certificate of filing amended articles of incorporation. And then we have photocopy of mayor's business permit or duly received application for mayor's business permit. Unused principal and supplementary receipts invoices for restamping per approved inventory list by the RDO. And then we have the transfer commitment form for those who are transferring. No? Okay, so change in accounting period. Okay. So these are very important, yung 1903. Meron dito na computerized books of accounts. Permit to use computerized accounting system. DVDs containing electronic books of accounts and or records. Okay. Affidavit attesting the completeness, accuracy, and appropriateness of the computerized accounting books or records in accordance with the keeping of books of accounts and records by internal revenue tax for internal revenue tax purposes. Okay. So yun po yung BIR form 1903 natin for registration. Okay? Okay, sige.
Galing po kay Ma'am Rosemary Neira.
Okay.
Ma'am, kailangan na po bang mag-change ng tax type? May gross income na po kami, lagpas ng 3 million. May mga tutorial po ba kayo para sa VAT income?
Wala naman, but ang sabi dyan, once na lumagpas na kayo ng 3 million, so batable na kayo, within 30 days, you have to inform the the BIR of the change. So you bring your certificate of registration to the BIR and then fill a form 1905, and also you are going to have the inventory of your non-VAT receipts because you will be issuing now VAT receipts, no? So, yung non-VAT nyo, kung may unused pa, you have to surrender it to the BIR for destruction. No? So, wala naman po. Mabilis lang. Mabilis lang from non-VAT to VAT. What is difficult is from VAT to non-VAT. Because you have to wait for 3 years after registration before you can change your registration from VAT to non-VAT. Okay? Wala na? Okay, so with that, I would like to say thank you po sa ating mga viewers, no? Lockdown pa rin ngayon, so stay safe po tayo lahat. Thank you very much.